I've been grieving for 24 years, 25 years. And what happened with me was I went on a very, very long grieving, I say journey because I really do love that word. I went on a very long grieving journey. So, over the last 25 years ago, we found out that my mother, she had been diagnosed with cancer. And in fact, the same day that we found that out, I found out that I was pregnant. So, fast forward trauma, many years down the road. But not only did I lose my mom at that point, but I found out I was pregnant. And so she got to be with me for the first 6 months of my pregnancy before she died. So that was almost 25 years ago. And then 11 years ago, I lost my husband to suicide. And we had been together for 20 years. We were babies. I'm going to make myself younger than I am right now. We were really babies when we met. We spent 20 years together and had two children together and ran several businesses together. And that was trauma number two. And then 3 years ago, my almost 3 years ago, my daughter's very, very best friend, we also lost to suicide. Ooh, and that's the one that is still very raw. Sorry. That one is still very raw. Ooh, I did not expect to do that. So now I can say that grief has no time frame. um, Sorry, I need just 1 second here to compose myself. I did not plan on that happening. Um, Grief has no time frame. So for me, it's really interesting because I actually feel like the trauma of losing my husband, even though that was um, obviously I can't place them in order of, which one hurt the most, but that one I feel it actually took me the shortest amount of time to kind of work through. And I think that that was because in the beginning, I was very angry. I was very angry. I had to come to peace with the fact that his mental health was not okay and that he had so much childhood trauma. He had so much trauma. And so I got to a point where I didn't want to be angry with him anymore. And I got to a point where I instead wanted to acknowledge that he had a lot of trauma and that trauma affected him every single day of his entire life. And even if he didn't discuss it, it was with him every single day. It took me about 20 years after my mom died before I could literally even have a conversation about her. Um, I couldn't be doing what I'm doing right now 4 years ago. There's absolutely no way. There was a lot of healing work done in the last 4 years for me. And more specifically, the last year has been a significant difference in my life. And part of my healing, I have taken more of a spiritual path when it comes to my healing. And so I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of journaling. I do my videos on my hippie heart where I talk about what I've gone through. And for me, that's been a huge part of my healing. Um, and so I spent a lot of time, I would say really mostly the last year, to where I could feel like maybe I was healed enough. And I know that there's no such thing as being healed, but I was healed enough where I could start to help other people. And I know that you experience the same thing because of what you do. And I'm talking to Sam right now. I'm looking at Sam's face and I'm talking to Sam. Um, I know that you experience the same thing that I do. And I know that this is why I went through what I went through. And now it's really cool to to look at where I am now. Um, because really, me 6 months ago would not have believed it. She wouldn't have believed it. Um, and that's not to say that I don't think that I deserve it or that eventually I would have found what I wanted to do. It's so much deeper than that. It is really truly knowing that what you're doing right now is it's a direct result of all of the work that you've put in. And sometimes that work takes a long time and sometimes it doesn't. Like I said, with my mom, it took me 20 years to be able to have a conversation about her. And I would say that maybe 5 or 6 years after my husband passed away, I was stuff comes up all the time and hits those chords all the time. However, I would say that I'm probably as healed as I can be from that. But all of us go through different journeys, and some of those take longer than others. But I really feel like, and I feel like this is what happened with me, is I wasn't sure what the rest of the journey was going to look like. And I think that I wanted to know. And once I realized that it didn't matter that I wanted to know, it was going to happen the way that it was going to happen, when it was going to happen. And that's just the way it is. And so for me, I kind of left it up to the flow of the universe. And I'm not a religious person. Some people would leave it to God. To me, it's whatever your God is. But I just let go. And I knew that I had put in the work, and I knew that I had put enough good energy out into the world that I just needed to sit. back a little bit, and then it literally all just came all at once. And I think back to when I did my first video and the frame of mind that I was in, and it was 4 months ago. And within the last month, I landed my dream job, which I started this past Monday. And this is my first job working for someone else other than myself since I was about 23 years old. And I'm actually really excited about it. I always worked for myself and I really enjoyed that, but I'm at the stage right now where I need to be with people. I went through the last 3 years of like almost complete isolation. And that's when I did all my healing, but I did not do it with other people. I did not. I did it alone. I discuss it with my kids, and like if we could go to temple together and do meditation together, we would do that. If there were things that we could do together, we would, and we do talk about it. But going through a healing process is very lonely. And I wish that I knew that something like this event was available because I would have been here a lot sooner. I really would have, because it is a very lonely path. And, you know, you could be like, for example, I went to an online therapy group that was for um, women, specifically for women who lost spouses to suicide. And that group it was one of the most difficult things that I've ever done. It actually wasn't that long ago. It was about 6 months ago, but I was finally ready to do that. Up until that time, everything that I had done was on my own. And most of what I still do is on my own. But I have started to become a part of a community. And that I'm very, very grateful for because there are so many people that have gone through what you have gone through. Their story is different than yours, but they've gone, you and I, Sam, we both lost our husbands. And I never would have met you if I didn't start my hippie heart. And there's a few people who I talk to pretty regularly now who I feel like we're, starting to build a nice little group. And maybe I didn't find you last year because I just wasn't ready for you last year. But I am now, and I love what you're doing, and I love being able to help people who are really struggling because I really understand, you know, I really understand. And I think that the best way to be able to help someone is to be able to empathize with them because you understand. And I say now that some of my greatest lessons that I've learned from my whole life have come from the greatest tragedies of my whole life. And now I feel like it's time to take that and to help other people. 11 years ago, if you would have told me that, maybe not 11 years ago, because that's when it happened, 9 years ago, if you would have told me the way that my life would be right now, and the way that my kids got through this and they were so resilient. And that's not to say that there were like, there were things, but the work that all of us have put in to really trying to heal, not just like going through each day like a routine, really trying to put the work into ourselves and knowing that we were stronger than any of the bad stuff that happened. So every day I am so grateful for what is going on in my life right now and for my children, my family, my friends, my community that's not, those family or friends that has really developed over the last year or so. And every day I'm just so grateful that I'm here and that I continued to believe in myself and to surround myself with people who believed in me and just put in the work to heal. And so I've never ever in my whole life been able to say like I'm grateful for myself. I'm grateful for the work that I did. But I can say it now. And for anybody who's going through it now, there are people here to talk to, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And even though it feels like it's so far away, it is there. It's there.